Calgari Flames finished second last year in the Soviet National League. Many are expecting this team, Harry Neal, to be a very solid contender.
January, they start their tour in North America December the 4th in Los Angeles.
And a star for many years in Soviet hockey. Makarov is out there now on the line with Neuendijk and Roberts. Neuendijk flips it in, and it's handled by Chervyakov. Flipped up along the boards, and the Soviets bring it out into the neutral zone. Chekhov is checked in the center ice area. Makarov on the right side to Neuendijk and two of the three goals so far for Calgary this tour in tonight's play, and takes advantage of Gary Roberts' head, who goes to the net, and if he doesn't deflect it, he certainly screens it, and it goes by the Russian goaltender. To a man, the Calgary Flame management said Joe Neuendijk was clearly the best player for their team in both games in Czechoslovakia. I don't know whether Makarov will draw an assist on the goal or not, but he made the play. Quite often they only award one assist in international hockey, but it was Makarov, cross ice to Neuendijk, to Roberts, who deflected it in. So it's 1-0 to Calgary Flames leading. Gilmore is checked in the neutral zone. Kvartalnov is out there, along with Vostrikov, with Oksuda. And now it is Al McInnes for Calgary. Gilmore is playing on a line with Patterson and Priyakin, the other member of the Soviet team who has joined the Flames. He was actually the first to come over to the National Hockey League. Ken Savarin, hoping to crack this Calgary lineup on a regular basis this year, plays it around the boards to his defense partner, Al McInnes. McInnes trying to set things up, goes cross-ice to Savarin. Lead pass, Herdina deflects it down into the Soviet zone. Back of the net, Yakovenko trying to move it up along the boards. Fires at the length of the ice, and this will produce an icing call as Sitter goes back to touch it. We have played 1:44 of the opening period. Calgary leading 1-0.
You fans watching this game are going to see that the Russians are not abiding by the NHL standard of curvature of their stick blades. In international hockey, they allow a much bigger curve on your stick, bigger than the half-inch the National League allows. And watching the Soviet team practice this morning, at least 2/3 of their players have a stick that would be declared illegal easily in the National League.
A crowd of about 15,000 taking in the action at the Leningrad Sports Palace. Theron Fleury is out there. The puck comes back to the point to McCrimmon. He drops it behind the net to Herdina. He's taken out of the play by Mona Enkov. Picked up in the corner by Fleury. Fleury trying to set something up. He still has it. Slides it in at the side of the net. A penalty is coming up as Paul Ranheim is dumped in the corner. Fleury gets it at the side of the goal. A lot of room to maneuver on this big ice curve out front, and racing in from the point, the shot is blocked. Another shot, and that is deflected high into the corner. Canada still controlling. Fleury has it. On the delayed penalty call, the extra attacker, Joel Otto, got out there and managed to get a shot away, and that penalty comes at the 2:20 mark of this period.
Then the referee is very strict on the fact that the team that has the delayed penalty called on him must control the puck before he will blow the whistle. The goalie actually made 2 saves on that delayed penalty, and the one Russian defenseman, the puck hit him. In North America, the referees would have called that much quicker. And Calgary got 2 good chances because of the philosophy the Swedish referee has.
This is an interesting power play combination that Terry Chris sends out there. A Canadian, a Czech, and a Soviet player. Makarov and Herdina are flanking Joe Neuendijk. Herdina in control, in across the line. Herdina looking cross-ice. Neuendijk couldn't quite reach it. Back to the point. Sutter with a shot right on. And the save is made and flipped out into the center ice area. Picked up by the Soviets. In across the line. He's checked by Makarov. Makarov has the puck. He goes back of his own net. Titov takes it away from him, tries to slip it to the point, intercepted by Neuendijk. Neuendijk coming in with Herdina. Neuendijk back to Makarov, trailing to the point, drop back. right in, but the net was knocked off its supports. But a pretty passing play by the Calgary Flames.
And Makarov gave you a little taste of how well he knows what's going on when he gets the puck. He made the drop pass from an area I'm sure that Terry Chris thought he should have shot from to the player Calgary Khimik coming from behind. And of course, we all know that the Europeans, especially the Soviets, love to make one more pass. And I'm sure that's one of the adjustments that Chris and the coaching staff are going to want him to do. When he gets in the middle the way he got that puck, they're going to want him to shoot it.
We have played 3:02 of this opening period. Calgary leading on a goal by Gord Roberts. That came at the 31-second mark from Uendijk and Makarov. Vasilev is the head coach of the Soviet national team, or the team we're watching tonight. Fired around the boards for Verdina. He lets it go back to Suter. Suter is out there with McInnes on the point. Suter moving in, a shot to save, big rebound, and it's flipped up along the boards out into the center ice area.
The Russians acquired another penalty here, so they are now down 2 men. And the penalty was for knocking the net off the moorings on purpose. And this is a stiff spot for them to be in this early in the game behind 1-0.
Flipped in by the veteran defenseman Basalgin, as the Calgary Flames have it in their own zone, with Suter now moving out to Makarov on the right side. He has Joel Otto out there with him. Makarov controlling, back to the line for McInnes, over to Suter. Suter getting set, moving in, fakes the shot, still has it, back to McInnes. He lets it.
Well, Don, I guarantee you that there are no point men in the Soviet Union that can shoot the puck like Al McInnes can and does. And he showed right there that he hasn't forgotten how to do that. But look where he gets that shot from. Almost the hash mark. And he doesn't even slap it, he wrists it. So Al McInnes is taking over where he left off in the playoffs last year, as he got a nice pass from Suter, who was also in a good shooting position, and then just goes one by the Russian goaltender, who came out to challenge the shot, and just couldn't get it.
Well, for being the outstanding performer in the Stanley Cup playoffs, he went to Disneyland. This is another experience for Al McInnes playing in the Soviet Union.
I don't think he'll mistake Leningrad for Disneyland.
Merzen on the left side. The Calgary Flames still holding a man advantage. They lead 2-0. Loose puck in the corner, picked up by the Soviets. Vanenkoff gets it out into the neutral zone. Kvartnov turns around there. Now it's Malgin to Kvartnov in front. He's tied up, couldn't get a shot away. Good job of getting back in the play by Dana Merzen. Now it's Fleury in across the line with Joel Otto. Fleury turning in the corner. Back to the point. Over to Merzen. Merzen in front. Gilmore couldn't get a stick on it. It was deflected past him. McCrimmon to Merzen. Merzen being watched in that neutral zone to Joel Otto. He flipped it up for Fleury as the penalized player. Smirnov comes back on the ice, and Khimik is playing at full strength. Rink-wide pass to Kvartnov. He's knocked down. The puck is centered, winds up in the uniform of Rick Matras, and he plays it ahead to Jim Poplinski. With Gilmore, back to Poplinski. Nice move. He had it get just a little too far ahead of him. He couldn't control it as it slid to the goal mouth and was cleared away by Chervyakov. Now along the boards, it is Savarin leaving it there for Т.Хантер. The Flames have 13 forwards and 7 defensemen dressed for this game.
Well, in this league, they're allowed to dress 20 skaters and 2 goalies. And we know that the Russian teams love to play those units of 5. So this way, with 22 dressed, they have 4 units of 5 plus their 2 goaltenders. And they keep them playing in that style almost entirely. For Calgary, it's a unique situation, and one that they're not used to.
Hockey League opposition in that they will have played 3 games before any other NHL team play a preseason contest. Long shot sails over top of the glass in behind the Calgary goal.
Well, the Calgary players were saying that they were nowhere near ready to take on a team as good as the Czech national team after 4 days of practice in Europe. And really, they all think that it would have been better for them to play the Russian part of this tour first and end up playing the national team. As in Russia here, they only play club teams and not the all-star team that the Czech national team was. And they thought they did very well against them, and the management did too, even though they lost 4-1 and 4-2.
Yakovenko for Khimik, flips it up into the center ice area for Yashin. Yashin knocked out the puck and sends it loose. It's a late missing ball coming up against the Calgary Flames, and the whistle finally goes as the puck is slipped out into the center ice area. But that scoring opportunity by Yashin represents the best chance that Khimik has had so far in the game.
Probably the only chance, Don, and it was a nice poke check on the play by goaltender Mike Vernon. Savern gets the penalty, and we'll have a look at the Soviet-style power play.
That penalty comes at 6:23 of this opening period, with Calgary leading Khimik by a score of 2-0. The Calgary Flames did an outstanding job during the National Hockey League season in the penalty-killing department. However, they are missing Joe Mullen. Mullen has not been with the team because of a serious illness in the family back home in New York. Fired down the ice by Joel Otto.
Also missing tonight are McCollum and Bergquist. They have the flu. Mullen, as Don said, Gannett's not playing, and neither is McClellan.
Puck deflected up over the boards and out of play directly in front of that Calgary bench. 6:54 remaining in this opening, or gone by in this opening period. 1:29, the time remaining in the penalty. The clock operates just a little differently in the Soviet Union and in most international arenas on this side of the ocean, in that it counts up to 20 minutes for each period rather than down as we are accustomed to at home.
There's Savern, the young defenseman who had a great year at Salt Lake City last year and is trying to crack this lineup for the Stanley Cup defending champion, Calgary Flames.
Kvartalnov bumps in the corner with Merzen, but the puck comes loose and it's fired down the ice by Roberts. Gary Roberts scoring the first goal of the game just 31 seconds into the opening period. Kvartalnov circling in his own zone, being watched by Roberts. Kvartalnov drops it back for Yakovenko. He flips it up on the left side. Knocked away from Ostrikov, and the Calgary Flames dump it down the ice again.
I'm sure that the Khimik players, after a period of playing against Calgary, will say that this is the biggest team we have ever played against, and we know that Calgary also has people in the National League saying the same thing about their size.
Ranheim grabs that loose puck and fires it in off the glass. Gilmore in forechecking for the Flames. Ranheim in as well. Yakovenko having problems with Ranheim in the corner. Ranheim, a 68-goal scorer last season for Salt Lake. With that opportunity, just 3 seconds left of the penalty. A long shot from the point by Mona Inkov, steered to the corner and fired down the ice as the penalized player Savron comes out of the box. Trakno stopped at the line by Merzen. Merzen tried to flip it up in the wing, broken up by the Soviets. Trakno racing into the corner after him. Loose puck back to the goal. Johansson battling with him for the puck. It comes to the line. Mona Inkov with a shot. He had initially just in that puck as he took it on the net protector, but he was able to dive on that loose puck.
this is called the Friendship Series. These players involved here, for the first time tonight, are a little unfriendly. Our broadcast location here is pretty good by any judge standard. Don, we're about 30 feet above the ice surface between the center line and the red line. And this rink holds 25,000 for non-hockey events, as 12 of the 14,000 seats tonight are on our side of the rink. So when you see a small stand on the other side, the bench side, don't be misled by it. There's a large one on our side.
Those are all portable stands on the other side. Puck in the corner, Zalapukin. Rink wide pass, doesn't get through with Patterson, one of the top defensive forwards in the NHL. Got a stick on it. He breaks it up again, knocking it away from Smirnoff. Smirnoff got it across to his defensive partner, Selyanin. Now it is Zalapukin. He has Titov with him. Titov in the corner. Tried to get it back to the line to Selyanin. Now Zalapukin circles back to the net. Zalapukin for the Soviets. Looking through the line to Selyanin. Selyanin with a screen shot. That's deflected high by Patterson over the glass without a ploy.
One of the big adjustments for the Flames playing on the big ice is the defensive zone coverage with the extra 15 feet of width, plus the net out about 4 feet further than it is in Canada. The defensemen have to be careful. When they take that trip to the corner, it's a long way back to the front of the goal. And a defenseman who likes to take people out in the defensive zone is going to find, with the extra step necessary to get close to his opponent, that gives him 1/2 second to get out of the way. And it's a tougher job, defensive zone coverage, in the rink that are this big.
The Salgan fires it in. The centering attempt broken up by Hrdina. He got it to Gilmore, and Gilmore fires it down the ice. Chervyakov in the Soviet goal. Left it there. The Salgan, the veteran defenseman for this Khimik team, brought it up into the neutral zone. Then it was fired down into Calgary territory. As the Flames attempt to fire it down the ice, it's deflected by Gilmore over the glass and out of play. We have passed the midpoint of period one.
Sightseeing tour today, John, after practice of the Winter Palace and the Hermitage Museum. They had some paintings in there that I noticed don't exist in our houses back home.
Many of them.
Many by Picasso and Da Vinci.
Loose puck along the boards in the Soviet zone, picked up by Malgin. He gets it ahead to Okubo, and it's offside. The referee from Sweden, Р.Юханссон, and he arrived in Leningrad just an hour or so prior to the game. There was some concern that he might not make it in time for this first of the 4 Friendship Tour games that the Calgary Flames are playing in the Soviet Union. The Washington Capitals also touring through the Soviet Union, and they are playing similar teams to the Flames. Kvartalnov starts out. Vodankov breaking in on the right side, put on the brakes at the blue line. The puck goes loose in the corner, and Nembris flips it around the board. Delayed penalty call coming up against the Calgary Flames. Vodankov with a shot, it goes wide. Loose puck back at the net. Zalapukin trying to get it out front, goes to the point instead. Vodankov gets away from one check, slides it in. Klemashov from the point got it and tried to flip it into the corner, but it went off a Calgary Flame, and now the delayed penalty call takes effect with Al McInnes going off for Calgary.
Well, the Flames are fortunate in one regard. They are not going to be down 2 men the way Khimik was, but they are going to have to kill another penalty off right on the heels of Gary Roberts coming back on the ice. And this Soviet team, they won't shoot the puck, it seems, and Calgary, a great penalty-killing team in the National League, are not going to give you many shots from the nice goal-scoring areas.
Calgary in penalty killing was number 1 last year in the National Hockey League, an 82.9% proficiency rating.
Well, when you're 1 in one of the specialty teams and 2 in the other, you often get a chance to wear that Stanley Cup ring, as will the Calgary Flames.
Truckno tried to slide it through for Klemashov. It went too far for him. It comes back to the point. In the slot, Klemashov couldn't get a shot away. Selyanin races in from the point. Berdichevsky is tied up. It comes loose. A shot from the point and a good one by Selyanin just sails wide. Smirnov from the other side. Fired wide. Berdichevsky back to the net, tries to center it, and it's fired down the ice by Joe Lotto.
Big kid 15 for the Soviets, Truckno. He will not allow any Calgary defenseman to push him out in front of the goal, and none of them could. And so the Soviets have the screenshot set up every time they can get it to the point.
Trying to jam it in from close range. Berdichevsky was knocked off the puck as he cut in front of goaltender Mike Vernon. Another penalty coming up against the Calgary Flames, so they will be short 2 men for 47 seconds.
Young Savard elbowed or punched Yashin and will draw the penalty, and there's still 47 seconds left in Al McInnes' penalty. So now Khimik gets a chance to operate with a fair length of time, 2 men up. And there are the 2 penalized players in the penalty box, and the Flames will now be forced. The 3 Flame skaters will be forced to try and be 5 places. And we all know 3 can't be 5 places, can they?
12:19 is the time remaining in this opening period. 2-0. The Flames lead it, and goals by Gary Roberts and Al McInnes. From the face-off, the draw comes back to Natras. Joe Lotto picking up where he left off last National Hockey League season, winning that draw in his own zone. Zalapukin, 21-year-old forward, in across the line. Titov goes to the front of the net. Plays it back to the point instead to Yakovenko. Yakovenko gets it over to Zalapukin, shot right on, and Vernon makes the save.
Well, Vernon was very sharp to cover up the puck because there were 3 Khimik players converging on the net after the shot, but Mike Vernon got his hand on it before they got their sticks on it.
20 seconds remaining in the 2-man advantage for Khimik. 20 seconds in the penalty to Al McInnes, still 1:33 in the penalty to Ken Savarin. Face off to the left of Vernon. Coach Terry Crisp indicated that he would split the goaltending chores in this game between Vernon, the starter, and Rick Wansley.
And he did that in both the games against Czechoslovakia.
Back to the line to Yakovenko. To Zalapukin. Back to Yakovenko, his shot. Deflected to the corner by Vernon. He got an arm up on that drive. Yakovenko with another shot. It doesn't get through. Zalapukin controlling it in the corner. Zalapukin, cross ice. Back to Yakovenko, his shot. Vernon makes the save, and the net is knocked off its support. Vernon is sent flying, and he protests to the referee, J.Hansson, that he was interfered with by the Soviet player as Al McInnes comes out on the ice.
Well, you can see the strategy is the Soviet team wants to get the puck to the middle of the rink to number 3, Yakovenko, and then he takes the shot. And there's all kinds of traffic in front of the net after the shot's being taken. And once the puck's been in the Calgary zone deep and they throw it quickly to the point, there's only one man that can come out in a hurry, and of course he can't get there fast enough. And the nets in this rink seem to come off a little easier than in most NHL rinks, but in this case that was a break for the Calgary Flames.
From the face-off, Titov keeps it in, and now as it comes to the line, the Soviet player Mona Enkov brought it in offside. They are playing under IHF rules, and one of the major differences in international hockey as compared to what we see in the National Hockey League, there is no delayed offside.
And there are no coincidental penalties, so if 2 guys get a penalty, they serve it, and you play a man short each. And when that happens on a rink this size and you're not used to playing it, and the way the Soviet players can skate, it's another disadvantage that the Flames have to put up with simply because they haven't played enough on rinks this big.
Flames continue their good penalty killing. Gary Roberts gains control, flips it the length of the ice. Merzen is going back after it. He's being chased by Malgin. He chops it up along the boards, and McCrimmon pushes the puck out into the center ice area before it's deflected up over the boards out of play. With 30 seconds remaining in the penalty to Sabourin, we've played 13:49 of this first period.
Well, if you're a Flame fan, it's nice to see this fellow, Gary Suter, back in the lineup after having an awful time last year at the end of the season with injuries and not being able to take part in that Stanley Cup win. And there's McCrimmon getting a laugh from Terry Crisp. I don't see Crisp laughing that much during the season, so maybe the friendship games mean something to Terry.
Fired in by Selyanin. Berdichevsky checked back of the net. Oh, battling along the boards. 13 seconds remaining in the penalty. Smirnov manages to keep it in. Herdina couldn't get it out. Suter knocks down a centering attempt. He gets control. He fires at the length of the ice. And that's the end of the penalty to Ken Sabourin as the Calgary Flames are back at full strength. 14:29 is the time gone by in this opening period. Johansson keeps it in. Flipped up along the boards and out. Johansson, who played with the Swedish national team, tried a pass that was broken up by the Soviets. Berdichevsky in across the line, working against Johansson. Johansson knocks him off the puck. Flips it up along the boards to Herdina. Long rink-wide pass for Ranheim. Ranheim drops it for Gilmore. Back to Ranheim. And that's scored! And that's why he scored 68 goals for Salt Lake City.
Well, great passing play. And one of the nice plays came on the pass over here to Gilmore. And then Ranheim just unloaded it very quickly. And another example of an ability goal scorers have. It's not how hard you shoot it many times, it's how quickly you can get it away. And Ranheim took the pass and got rid of the shot all in one motion, and the goaltender was still moving across to cut the angle down, and before he got it cut down, the puck was in the net.
Well, Paul Baxter, who was the head coach in Salt Lake last year and has replaced Doug Risebrough as an assistant coach with the Flames, even he was shaking his head sitting up in the press box with us on that shot by young Ranheim, and he saw him score those 68 goals last year.
That Baxter's probably going to tell everybody that he taught him to shoot it that well. I saw Baxter shoot.
Merzen picks up the puck at his own line, dumps it into the corner. Yakovenko goes back after it. Nieuwendyk is on him almost immediately. Makarov in the corner as well, battling along the boards, couldn't get it loose, and the Soviets start out. Yakovenko on the right side for Oksuta. He takes Merzen in heavily against the boards. The puck comes loose. Kvartalnov couldn't do anything with it. Yakovenko manages to keep it in. Oksuto cuts in front of the net, tries to slide it into the far corner past Vernon, but he stood his ground. The Soviets gained control again. They tried to flip it back to the point, broken up by the Calgary Flames. Makarov gets it to Roberts, and Roberts is bumped heavily in against the board.
Boy, Roberts, who likes to throw those checks, really took a dandy from number 27 of the Soviet team, and Roberts didn't like it very much, and I wouldn't have either. That was a kind of a cheap shot from behind.
Kozlov stepping into Roberts. Now the puck is loose in the Canadian zone. A battle behind the net for that puck. Sabourin managed to get it free to Joel Otto. He moves it ahead to Makarov. Al McInnes drives it in. Poplinski couldn't pick it up off the end board. Now it's Joel Otto. Tried to go cross ice with it. Knocked away by Zalapukin. Zalapukin drop pass for Titov. It goes off his skate to the corner. Otto bumps into the Soviet player in the corner. McInnes plays it around on the boards for Poplinski. Poplinski got it out to the neutral area. 3-0. The Calgary Flames leading Khimik. We have played 17:05 of the opening period. Gary Roberts, Al McInnes, and Paul Ranheim. The goal scorer Chris has to be pleased with the way his team has performed in both ends of the rink so far in this opening period.
Well, the only real opportunities that his team has given Khimik have been on the power plays that Khimik has had at even strength. They haven't, the Soviet team hasn't mounted much of an offense. And I think it's a mistake for the Soviet team to try and pick up and make it a hitting game like they have for the last two shifts because they're about half the size of many of the Calgary players, and in the third period that may prove to be a problem for the smaller but energetic Soviet team.
Puck deflected over the glass and out of play. We've played 17:27 of this opening period.
Yuri Hrdina was very disappointed at the 2 losses his team took in Prague, his hometown. He took 50 people from the Flames out to dinner as a guest of his in Prague. He's a very popular player among the Flames, and what a job he did when he stepped in there in Game 6 to help win the Stanley Cup for the Calgary Flames.
They refer to him as Yuri Superstar after what he did in Czechoslovakia and how he is revered by his fellow countrymen.
Well, he's smart. Taking those guys out for dinner, that'll get him a little mileage in the friendship department, won't it? And they say the restaurant was terrific and the meal was superb.
Now he's going to suggest that they reciprocate back in North America. Ranheim moves it ahead to Fleury, to Hrdina, just a little too far for the former Czech national. He still manages to get it, looked out in front, but the Flames were making a change. Yakovenko moved it ahead to Malgin. He tried to split the defense, and the puck is knocked into the corner by Vernon. A minute and a half left in this opening period. 3-0, the Flames lead it on goals by Roberts, McInnes, and Ranheim. Malgin into the slot for Berdachevsky. High shot, and that is flipped to the corner by Vernon. It ricochets off the boards and back into the neutral zone. Basalgin gets it ahead to Vostrikov. Return pass to Basalgin. Basalgin dumps it in. Got away from Suter. Loose puck along the boards. Now it's fired down the ice by the Flames as we move into the final minute of this opening period. Calgary in front by a score of 3-0. Yashkin for Basalgin. On the right side, off the stick of Klemashov. He couldn't do anything with it. Now Berdachevsky got it. He was checked. And the Flames move it into the neutral area. Can't do anything with it. Here's another opportunity for the Soviets. They are guilty of a drop pass that I think the Calgary Flames had prepared for.
Well, the Soviet teams, or all European teams for that matter, really like the drop pass, and it can be effective.
Poplinski runs into a check in center ice from Mona Enkov, but that barely knocks the big Calgary captain off stride. Just 8 seconds remaining in the period. Truckno with a long shot high off the glass behind Vernon, and that will run out the opening period here at the Leningrad Sports Palace with Calgary in front 3-0 on goals by Gary Roberts, Al McInnes, and Paul Ranheim.
Well, there was no question that Calgary was the superior team that period. As I said earlier, the only time they got in any trouble as far as chances against were concerned was when they were down a man, and even then, the Soviet team elected to pass more often than shoot. The game got a little chippy in the last, 4 or 5 minutes of the period, but then it stopped, and maybe the Russians found out that that wasn't a very good investment, trying to take the big Flames out.
That's the end of the first period with the Calgary Flames leading Khimik 3-0. Now let's go.
Champion Calgary Flames and playoff MVP Al McInnes represent the NHL's best. The Patrick Division champion Washington Capitals and Scott Stevens bring the apple pie to the USSR. The NHL is in the Soviet Union for the first time ever, and Sports Channel is your only ticket to the game. The Flames take on Sokol when the superpower face-off continues.
Awaiting the start of the second period, a rather large contingent of Calgary Flame fans in attendance at the Leningrad Sports Palace. They made the trip from Calgary, traveling over here to take in these games in the Soviet Union. They were not in Czechoslovakia for the first 2 games. The puck comes back to the line. Selyanin with a shot. Vernon wasn't quite sure where that puck went to. It goes into the corner. Titov attempting to center it. He runs into the side of the net, gets the puck back, and there's a whistle as the Calgary net is knocked off its supports.
And the Calgary player is back on the ice after serving just a short stretch of his penalty. and the teams are at full strength. It'll be interesting to see whether the Soviet team Khimik changes any of their strategy after playing one period against the Stanley Cup champion Calgary Flames. They ought to do something because they're not going to win if they don't play better than they did in period one.
Well, we don't have a record of shots on goal. No such statistic is made available to us, but Mike Vernon, although not tested that often in the opening period, made a couple of very good saves.
Well, when his team was shorthanded, the Khimik team did get some opportunities, but they couldn't beat the star of last year's Stanley Cup playoffs, Mike Vernon, for a goal.
Al McInnes brings it out. He gets away from Malgin. Al McInnes dumps it in on the wing to Priakin. He centers it. Comes right back to the point. Saverin manages to keep it in for Calgary. Gilmore left in the corner for Priakin. It goes around to the other side, and the Soviets fire a long lead pass up on the right wing. It's too far for Malgin. Kvartalnov in the corner trying to control that puck. Lost it. It slides out into the neutral zone. He's checked by Priakin, manages to get it back. Then Kvartalnov is tied up by Saverin. The puck goes loose to Colin Patterson, to Priakin, in on the wing for Gilmore. Gilmore centering it, and it didn't get through to Patterson, who was streaking for the net. Long lead pass knocked down in the neutral zone by Kvartalnov. He managed to get a stick on it. As a result, no icing call.
Well, that's the second long pass Khimik have tried, and that perhaps is one of the strategy changes their coaches have come up with. And if it doesn't work, sometimes it at least scares the Calgary defenseman off the offensive blue line, which would help the defensive coverage of the Khimik team.
Stolen by Fleury. Fleury lets the shot go, and that just goes wide. Kept in at the point by McCrimmon. Yakovenko tried to get it out. Suter at the other side keeps it in. Suter moving along the line, tried to slip it through to Ranheim. It was intercepted and brought back by the Soviets. Ostrikov couldn't do anything with it as the Soviets brought it in across the line. Now it's Hrdina for Calgary. Hrdina back to the line to McCrimmon. He lets the shot go that went off a stick, and the Soviets start back. Berdachevsky. Drop pass for Malgin. Malgin went to the far side to Struckno, and it was behind him and back there on Fleury. He tried to center it. It goes off the skate, gets another opportunity. It slides to the side of the goal, and Chervyakov steered it to the corner. The Soviets bring it out now with Klemashov stopped at the line. Mark Hunter, a long shot, and that is deflected wide. Otto standing in front of the net. Managed to get a stick on it. Mark Hunter checked. The puck comes back to the point. It's brought in offside by Merzen. 3-0. The Calgary Flames lead Khimik with 2:53 gone by in this second period.
One piece of strategy that Calgary uses, and all NHL teams do, Calgary does it as well as any, is the man without the puck goes to the net with a lot of enthusiasm. And the Khimik defensemen are having a tough time handling him, and they're having a tough time, the goaltender's having a tough time concentrating when one of those big red shirts is going at him. And Calgary scored their first goal with that kind of a play at the 31-second mark.
The puck in the Calgary zone. It's played off the glass, picked up now by Merzen. Merzen was looking on the left side, trying to hit Poplinski. Too far for him, and it comes back into the Soviet zone. The Soviets wearing the yellow and blue uniform that we are accustomed to seeing on the Swedish national team. In fact, Khimik got these uniforms from the Swedish national team, and of course the Calgary Flames in their traditional red uniforms. Usually touring Soviet squads are adorned in red.
You know, we watched the practice this morning, the Khimik practice, and I've never seen a morning skate as quiet as theirs was and as unenthusiastic as theirs was, especially compared to the one the Flames had. And I'm afraid that malaise has not quite been shaken yet by this Khimik team, because for a home team with the physical advantage they ought to have, where both teams stand regarding training camp and how many games and practice they've had, Calgary has been the one that's been pushing the play, not the home team Khimik.
Joe Nieuwendyk is out there with Gary Roberts and Sergei Makarov. This unit was responsible for the opening goal of the game by the Flames just 31 seconds into the period. Titov across the line with Toropchenko. Toropchenko was going in across. Titov couldn't get the puck to him. Makarov dodges a check. Tried to make a move as he came in across the line, but 3:45 of the second period, the Calgary Flames leading Khimik by a score of 3-0. Savarin intercepts the clearing attempt. Now the Soviets bring it out again. This is Zalapukas cutting into the wing. Zalapukas lost control as he comes in front of goaltender Mike Vernon. Gary Roberts stopped at the blue line by Yakovenko. Ahead to Titov. Titov runs into a check from Al McInnes, and it's dumped out by the Calgary Flames. McInnes pokes it ahead to Makarov. Makarov goes back to the net, looking out front for Nieuwendyk. The pass goes off the skate and is deflected out to the neutral zone.
McInnes threw a good open ice body check there, and the Soviet player thought he had some room, but all he could see was the big red shirt at the last second and didn't get knocked down as badly as he could have. But I don't think he'll be cutting across the middle of the rink at the opposing blue line anymore.
There's a buzz of anticipation among the spectators here at the Leningrad Sports Palace each time number 42, Makarov, steps onto the ice. Patterson attempting to center it at the side of the net, had it knocked away from him, and it's brought out by Titov. Titov couldn't control it. Now Suter gains possession for Calgary. Back to McCrimmon. McCrimmon forced back at the net by Kvartalnov. Clearing attempt broken up. Finally, McCrimmon does bring it out. He races in after it. Flips it back of the goal. Klemashov plays it up along the boards. The Soviets in this second period, Harry, attempt to be looking for that long lead pass in the neutral zone.
Well, they've tried it about 5 times, and they did get one in. The player got in behind the defense in the chance, but couldn't control the puck going for. There it is again. And that's obviously something that they think that they can use to their advantage after watching the first period.
Kvartalnov unable to pick up that pass from Vostrikov, and now it's brought in by the Flames offside with both Friakin and Gilmore ahead of the play. We played 5:48 of the second period, 3-0 Calgary lead.
Well, you know, Don, all visitors to Leningrad are warned not to touch the water. There's some kind of a parasite or a bacteria in it, and of course, being a hockey player when the game's on, to not have water is a distinct disadvantage, and Bearcat Murray said that they've solved that problem. They have mineral water, carbonated mineral water on the Calgary bench, and the boys really took to it. But I also noticed they'd snuck some pop on the bench this morning, so perhaps all of them didn't like it. But it's taboo, the water here in Leningrad. Even they brush your teeth in the mineral water, so this is a disadvantage as far as the teams coming in here is concerned. The local people, I guess, have an immunity to it and drink it, but the tourists are told not to.
So far, I can assure you we have been avoiding the water. As that puck is frozen along the boards in the Calgary zone, it results in a whistle, a stoppage in play. 6:13 has elapsed in this second period, 3-0, Calgary Flames lead.
I'm really surprised that the Khimik team.
Monenkov plays it across ice to Salyanin. Fired down into the Calgary zone. Johansson moves it up along the board. Flames against the forechecking of Khimik, unable to get it out. Now they try again, and it slides out into the neutral zone. Smirnov for Khimik. Long lead pass. Vernichevsky cross ice to Trepno. He fires it wide. And as the Soviets attempt to fire it back into Calgary territory, they put it up over the glass and out of play.
Well, there's a young Soviet fan, and there's an older Soviet fan. And there are a lot of kids at this game tonight, and you were telling me, Don, that the price of this game is $50.
No, I think 10 rubles, the equivalent of $20 Canadian, roughly $17 or $18 US is the price that they were paying for tickets, and we were told that the majority of tickets were sold to the factory workers in Leningrad. There was really no public sale of tickets for this game, but on the black market, tickets have been fetching as much as the equivalent of $50. Long shot. Yashin letting that shot go, and a penalty is coming up against Sabarin as he knocked Yashin down after he let a shot go that Mike Vernon reacted to, and there could be another penalty assessed here. The Soviets claiming that М.Хантер should also head to the penalty box for a cross-checking call. But there is only going to be the one penalty, I believe, against Sabarin.
I think you're going to see Johansson give two. He had one on the original call. You'll notice it right there up at the top of your screen. And then Hunter came in with a lot of enthusiasm after and checked someone from behind at the skirmish in the neutral zone. So the Flames are going to be down 2 men. And that's the first, maybe the second, but the most serious outbreak of any emotion shown, negative emotion shown between these two teams. Now this is a good opportunity for Khimik to get back in the game, having a full 2 minutes with the Flames 2 men short.
Well, the initial call against Sabarin, and then М.Хантер drew the cross-checking penalty. So as a result, it will be a 2-man advantage for the full 2 minutes for Khimik. And they send out the unit of Titov, Zalapukin, and Toropchenko. Toropchenko and Zalapukin just 21 years of age. Titov is 23. Here's Smirnov making the shot. Smirnov gets it into the slot. Titov's shot is blocked by Rick Natras, and he falls on top of it, covering up. And it was Rick Natras, of course, that played so well for the Flames in their race to the Stanley Cup Championship.
Well, the Flames are using 2 forwards here, Patterson and Otto, and only 1 defenseman, Natras. And Patterson made a good play. He fell to block the shot. That would have been a great opportunity for the Smirnov, the defenseman. He threw it over, and then Natras did block the shot. So shot blocking by defensemen in the National League, I think, is a little more common than it is over here in the Soviet Union.
Well, the Soviets appear to be looking for that perfect play as well.
They have to score some of those lousy goals to win games, you know. It's like the surfer. He's out there looking for the perfect wave. He's going to be there all summer if he doesn't take the odd average one.
Titov, back to Smirnov, to Selyan, and there's the shot. It's deflected high off the glass. Joel Otto gains possession. He fires it down the ice. As a matter of fact, it's right on. Chervyakov is forced to make the save. 1:15 remaining in the double minor. Smirnov shoots it into the corner. Patterson gains possession. He's checked. However, he does manage to get a stick on it and flip it down the ice again. Titov couldn't handle it. It would have been a 2-line pass against the Soviets, and as it's touched by Natras, it is an icing call against Khimik.
Well, the other disadvantage the Flames are at with a chunk of their bench in behind the offensive blue line is that they can't change on the fly very easy because it's a long change in the second period for them. And they got a break there when the Khimik player iced the puck. There's Joel Nixon, television mogul for the National Hockey League, who did a lot of work to arrange this series. He came over in early August to check the place out and make sure everything was in order. And I must say, so far, things have been in order.
Yes, our trip into the Soviet Union has been most enjoyable thus far. Tomorrow, we move on to Kiev for the second game of this series, as the Calgary Flames take on Sokol Kiev, and we will have that game for you live Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Kostrikov gets it back to the point. Yashkin fired a shot. Kvartalnov in the corner, back to the point. Modaenkov to Kvartalnov, back to Modaenkov. He lets the shot go. It's deflected. The rebound. And that bounced away from Kvartalnov.
Well, Kvartalnov had Vernon down and out, but the puck bounced over his stick. That was a little bit of bad luck for the Soviet team.
Just 10 seconds remaining in the 2-man advantage. Malgin leaves it there for Kvartalnov. Malgin gets it back to Kvartalnov. Kvartalnov shooting out in front, tries to jam it. Vernon stood his ground on the short side. Penalized players back on the ice. So the Calgary Flames with a fine job of killing off that 2-man penalty situation. out there, and Hunter banks it off the board for Joe Lotto. Too far for him. The Soviets break it up in the neutral zone. Malgin with a lead pass. Knocked down at the line by Merzin. Merzin has it again for the Calgary Flames in his own zone. Ahead for Hunter. Hunter couldn't do anything with it, but it does go cross ice to Suter. Suter with a nice move in the wing for Ranheim. Ranheim tried to center it, but the goaltender, Chervyakov, came out of his net to grab it. The Flames now making a change. We are approaching the 10-minute mark of this second period. All the goals, 3 by Calgary, scored in the opening period. Roberts, McInnes, and Ranheim, the marksman. Here's Gilmore coming in, a drop pass for Hrdina. Hrdina was spun around, couldn't get a shot away. Gets it back to the line to McCrimmon. A delayed penalty call coming up against Khimik. And an on 12 mark of the second period, Lev Berdachevsky goes to the penalty box. And the Calgary Flames will have a power play opportunity. Fine penalty killing, Harry, by the Flames as they killed off that two-man Soviet advantage for a full 2 minutes.
You know, one feature of a good power play is the ability of the team with the man advantage to recover loose pucks. And the Nimic team recovered very few in that 2-minute span, even though they outnumbered the Flames by 2 skaters. And it cost them a chance to get back in this hockey game.
Neuendijk, back of the net for Makarov. Makarov to the point for McInnes. McInnes to Suter. Suter being harassed back at the point. Trucknell overskated it. It goes loose in the corner. Makarov leaves it there for Neuendijk. He tries to play it around the boards for McInnes, who had pinched in from the point. Makarov back to Suter, back to Makarov. Makarov looking to the point for McInnes. I think in the very short time he's been with Calgary, he realizes that number 2 has that big point shot for the Flames. Hrdina in across the line, drops it for Neuendijk. Neuendijk tries to go across ice to Makarov. Here's a lead pass for Trucknell as the Soviets broke it up and were looking for that breakaway pass, but it was just a little too far for them. 50 seconds remaining in the penalty to Berdachevsky. Joe Lotto manages to keep it into the Soviet zone. Now Selyanin gets it loose. He was looking for Zalapukin, broken up in the center ice area. McInnes forced back into his own zone. Cross ice to his defensive partner, Gary Suter. Suter bothered a little in the training camp in Czechoslovakia by fluid on the jaw as the result of that broken jaw he suffered last year during the playoffs. McInnes at the point, dumps it off for Theron Fleury. Back to McInnes, there's the shot. And Chervyakov managed to get a glove on it, deflecting it to the corner. Just 8 seconds remaining in the penalty. Zalapukin racing down the left side. Zalapukin trying to get away from Joe Lotto. The puck goes loose as the penalized player, Berdachevsky, is back on the ice. Couldn't get a shot away as he was being watched by Al McInnes. McInnes had gone down low and prevented Titov from getting a shot away. Fleury working around Mona Enkov. Priakin is in there with him. Fleury taken in against the boards. He and Mona Enkov battle. It comes loose. McCrimmon with a quick shot as the puck came cross ice to him. Now to the point. Merzin with a shot. And the save is made by the Soviet goaltender, Chervyakov.
And the Soviets were playing a man short as number 28, Berdachevsky, was lying down hurt deep in the Calgary zone. He finally got up and got off the ice.
Loose puck. Bartelnov with Malgin. Malgin in the corner. Still has it. Tries to throw it out front. A battle for that loose puck. Vernon made the save as he dropped down to one knee and managed to get a piece of that puck as they were whacking away at it in front of the Calgary goal. 13:25 has gone by in period 2. Still 3-0, the Flames leading. Here the Soviets with a great shot. Jackson firing. And Rick Wasley, who was taken over in goal, had no opportunity.
Well, you can see it was a screen shot. It went right through Wasley, and he didn't see much of it at all. And, of course, that livens up the crowd a little bit. Although this is not a Leningrad team, this is a Soviet team, and the Leningrad fans were happy to see them finally get on the scoreboard. The fans were getting a little impatient with the Khimik teams. Reluctance to shoot, too many drop passes. But I think they've livened the building up now, and I think it's going to do a lot to improve this game, because the Soviet team was starting to get themselves in real trouble with reference to making a comeback here. But now they're only down by 2. And there's lots of time left in the hockey game.
Yashkin scoring the goal with Vostrikov getting the assist. Jolano checked in the neutral zone. Yakovenko gets it over to Yashin. Yashin with a shot fired wide of Walmsley. Coach Terry Chris started Mike Vernon in goal for the Calgary Flames. He has split the goaltending assignment between Vernon and Walmsley. Walmsley in goal for that score by Yashkin. Long shot from the point by Johansson, and play is whistled down as the puck goes into the corner, and it will be brought down the ice for a face-off back in Calgary territory.
Well, the players on the Khimik team make about 400 rubles a month, and they get paid for 12 months. And they get 100 rubles a win. So that's about $800 a month, and another bonus if they can win any games. So they are, we know one thing for sure, they are the poorly paid team on the ice tonight. No Players Association here in the Soviet Union, and I don't think they get the crowds. They don't play their league games in this building. They play in a smaller building. And crowds have been a problem in the Soviet ice hockey, and that's one reason that they think this exhibition tour.
Roberts letting a blistering shot go up high on goaltender Chervyakov. Now it's Makarov trying to speed it in front to Neuendijk. Broken up by the Soviets. It ricochets around the boards. Going back after it is McCrimmon. We're at 14:37 of the second period. Loose puck, Neuendijk trying to poke it around the Soviet defenseman Selyanin. Couldn't do it. And the Soviets go to the attack. It's broken up by Gary Suter. Here comes Neuendijk with Roberts. He drives it into the corner. Roberts racing in, trying to pick it up. Puck bounced away from him. It's loose along the board. Suter is in there, trying to get it free. He manages to Makarov. Makarov working in the corner. Flipped it out front, but Selyanin was there to intercept for the Soviets. And Hrdina intercepts the score! Yuri Hrdina intercepting a clearing attempt by Selyanin, and it's 4-1 Calgary.
Well, we saw earlier that the Soviet team were trying to make the pass up the middle to spring man for a breakaway. And this one didn't get there, as it was anticipated by 17 Hrdina, and he let a good, hard, low shot that I think not only beat but surprised the Russian goaltender. And that short stay of being back in the game for the Soviet team is now a 3-goal deficit.
Jim Poplinski with Mark Hunter. And across the line, they couldn't control it. Toropchenko for the Soviets. Rink-wide pass for Titov, broken up at the blue line by McKinnon. Fired back in again by Calgary, and it's whistled down as it was hit with a high stick. We're at 15. Face-off to the left of Alexei Chervyakov in goal for the Soviets. McInnes at the point, has control into the slot. A shot is fired off the stick of the Soviet goaltender by Mark Hunter. Toropchenko gets it out to the neutral zone. Zalapulkin was looking for it, but McInnes won the race to the loose puck. Jim Poplinski and Hunter along the boards trying to pry it loose. Clearing attempt by the Soviets. They finally move it to the neutral zone for Titov, trying to work around McInnes. He does! And Walmsley pokes it away from him. McInnes had him partially tied up, and Walmsley, with an alert move, poked it away. Yashkin flips the shot through traffic. It doesn't get to the goal. Now it's knocked back into the center ice area, and Yashkin goes after it. Monankov cross ice to Yashkin. He has scored the lone Soviet goal, a screenshot at 13:32 of the second period that beat Rick Wamsley.
Wamsley had gone in. That was the first shot that he faced, and he didn't see all of it, so it's a tough start for Rick.
Bostrikov tied up behind the goal. Puck comes out front, and Wamsley with a good move there to knock it off Kvartalnov's stick.
That was a good save, Don. Goalies will be the first to admit that a man coming out from behind the net, if he can get out in front, that's a tough play for the goalie. He's got to hang on to the post and not leave it too quickly, or he'll put it into the short side, or if he leaves it, if he waits too long, the man can beat him across. A perfect play by Rick Wamsley.
Drop pass to Kvartalnov. Doesn't get through as it was blocked by Johansson. Wamsley plays it around the boards. Yakovenko manages to keep it in for the Soviets. Flips it at the goal. Wamsley makes the save. And the puck is cleared by Calgary. We have 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the second period. Fleury flips it to the Soviet net, and it's held by Chervyakov for a face-off in the Soviet zone with Priakin looking for a loose puck. 4-1. The Flames lead Khimik of the Soviet National League.
Well, there are less than 3 minutes to go here in period 2, and the short-lived enthusiasm that these fans enjoyed when Khimik scored has disappeared. And I think you could say the same for the players on the Khimik team, who don't seem to be very inspired. They're playing tonight for the most part like they practiced this morning, quietly and unenthusiastically.
McCrimmon is checked along the boards. Puck comes loose to Priakin. Priakin with Yashin after him. Priakin dumps it into the corner. Gilmore fires it wide. At the point, McCrimmon manages to keep it in. Priakin in the corner, gets it loose to Gilmore, back to Priakin. Priakin looking out front. Colin Patterson has it. Patterson at the side of the net to Gilmore. He let it go, anticipating Priakin following up on the block. Oksutu tied up in the corner by Suter. The puck comes loose, back to the point to Yashkin. Another screenshot that is deflected over top of Rick Wamsley. McCrimmon trying to clear it out of the zone, puts it up over the glass, out of play.
Well, that was a better shift on the behalf of the Soviet team. They threw a couple of good body checks. They got in quickly to forechecks, something they haven't been doing very well. The Soviet crew, mostly unknown by international standards, may have been a little nervous and in awe of the Stanley Cup champion team, the Calgary Flames. And by the time they realized that the Calgary was just a hockey team, a good one at that, they found themselves in the hole, and they haven't been able to get out.
Gaskin with another screenshot right on. He's not reluctant to fire it from the point, and it was a screenshot that beat Rick Wamsley for the only goal at 13:32 of this second period, the only goal scored by the Soviets. Calgary came back with an unassisted tally by Hrdina. Berdachevsky with a shot, a quick release, and Wamsley makes the save on that one. Penalty coming up against the Calgary Flames.
Roberts is going to get a penalty for elbowing or high sticking. Very a late takeout. And he also is going to get an extra penalty for having a little bit too much to say to the referee. So I think Roberts is going to be in there for 4 minutes, although the signals the European referees give are not the same always as those in North America. We'll have to wait, and you'll translate, of course, the Russian public address announcer, will you?
Without any difficulty at all. Just one minor appearing on the scoreboard clock so far against Gary Roberts.
Well, there are only 37 seconds left in this period. So it's going to go on into the third period anyway, and maybe they can't put fours up on that multi-million-dollar scoreboard hanging over center ice.
He got just the 2-minute minor, but also picked up a 10-minute misconduct. So you're right, Harry, there was a double penalty assessed against Gary Roberts.
Well, the referee gave that T signal that in North America indicates you're getting another 2 and not the hands on the hip signal that tells you you're getting 10. But the referee's coming over here, and he's giving 4 minutes, not 10. The timers and scores were a little confused. So the Flames will play for 4 minutes or less should the Soviets score shorthanded. And this would be a big goal, and I think a necessary one by this Khimik team.
37 seconds remaining in this second period. Calgary in front, 4-1. Fired down the ice by Rick Natras.
Calgary win all the battles for the puck, it seems, when it's up for grabs and not clearly in either team's possession. And in penalty killing, boy, that's a great asset.
Zalapukin in across the line. He tried to slide it cross ice, and it was broken up by Joel Otto, and the Flames clear again. 10 seconds remaining in the second period. Zalapukin couldn't do anything with it on that lead pass. Merzen hammers it around the boards and down the ice, and that will put an end to period 2 here at the Leningrad Sports Palace, with the Calgary Flames leading by a score of 4-1. Just 2 goals in the second period. Yashkin on a screenshot at 13. Welcome back to the Leningrad Sports and Concert Complex, the third period of this game, the first of 4 by the Calgary Flames in their friendship tour of the Soviet Union. They lead by a score of 4-1, and they are playing short a man to start the third period. And they will be for another 3 minutes and 23 seconds as the result of a double minor picked up by Gary Roberts. Here's Patterson taking the shot, came in across the line, had it poked away from him. Joel Otto tried to get back into the play. Malgin has it. He drops it off to Kvartalnov. Back to the point to Selyanin. Selyanin fakes the shot to Kvartalnov. Back to the line to Selyanin. Over to the other side to Smirnov. Smirnov couldn't control it, and it's broken up by Colin Patterson and dumped down the ice.
Well, the penalty killing by the Flames has been superb, and it usually is.
Malgin in across the line, checked by Ranheim. And Ranheim, after Natras moved it to him, fires at the length of the ice.
This is a 4-minute penalty, as Don mentioned. Roberts got the extra 2 for an unsportsmanlike penalty. And a great opportunity for Khimik to get back in the hockey game, which they have not been in for very many of the minutes that we've seen in periods 1 and 2.
Calgary did an outstanding job of killing off a 2-man advantage that the Soviets enjoyed at the 7:09 mark of the period. Shot fired wide. Wansley comes out of the net to pounce on the loose puck at the side of the net. Still 1:50 remaining in the double minor to Gary Roberts. 4-1 Calgary leads. It was 3-0 for the Flames after 20 minutes. Each side scored a goal in the second period.
Getting a look at Balabir Vasiliev, who stands in front of his players on the bench, unlike the North American coaches who stand behind. Tarasov used to say that the reason he stands in front of the bench and not behind, when he turns to talk to a player about something, he can talk to him eyeball to eyeball, and he thought that was a tremendous advantage rather than talking from behind.
Terry Christ's response was, I'm afraid one of my guys might take a mouthful of water and spray it on me.
In Russia, I don't think Tarasov had the same fear for one reason or another.
The Soviets on the power play. Yakovenko at the point, tried to get that return pass, broken up by Hrdina. Hrdina already has intercepted one pass by the Soviets and converted it into a goal. 1:24 left in that double minor. Toropchenko to Zalapukin. He was tied up, and it's fired down the ice by Hrdina as the Flames continue to excel in a penalty-killing capacity. Calgary leading by a score of 4-1. Berdashevsky in across the line. He stopped, and it's flipped down the ice again by Calgary.
Too many fancy attempts to make a picturesque play by the Soviet team, and it ended up backfiring way more often than it's worked.
Trakno couldn't do anything with it. Fired back into the Soviet zone. Yashin up on the right side. Too far for Berdashevsky. Just 29 seconds remaining in the double minor against Gary Roberts, and some of the fans at the Leningrad Sports Complex beginning to whistle and jeer, as they are wont to do in Europe when they are displeased with play. Yashkin managed to keep it in, fired it towards the net, but Truckno couldn't deflect it. Yashkin again keeps it in. Back to the line, Mona Enkhoff has his weak shot stopped in front by Natras as Roberts steps out of the box. Ahead to Ranheim. Ranheim is checked by Mona Enkhoff. So the Calgary Flames have killed off another power play, and the Soviets, trailing by a score of 4-1, come down to the Calgary line as we hit the 4-minute mark of this third period. Hunter has it poked away from him by Kvartalnov. Now Malgin tried to dump it in, broken up by the Flames. Herdina's pass intercepted in the center ice area by Smirnov. The Flames gain possession again. Natras ahead to Hunter. He banks it off the boards for Poplinski. He couldn't do anything with it. It's loose at center ice. Hunter gains control, has to wait for Herdina to get back on side. Now Murzin flips it in. Hunter goes back to the net. The Soviet player falls in front of him. That's Smirnov down. Played up on the wing. But Strikov for Kvartalnov, it's offside.
Well, the Flames are a big, strong team, and where you might have thought that they would tire because they're so briefly into their training camp, that doesn't seem to be the case at all here tonight in Leningrad. There's one of our cameramen, and you must say, Don, that our camera people here and the people in the truck, there's one guy sitting in the end seats with those binoculars. You can see Moscow on a clear night from there. Have done a nice job here, and of course the language difficulty and the difficulty in adapting to the equipment as far as our group is concerned. I think everybody should be proud of what we're getting done here. I know I had a tough time turning the lights on in my hotel room, so these guys have bigger problems than that.
Soviet television providing us with the coverage of this friendship tour. Game 2 taking place on Saturday as the Calgary Flames play Sokol Kiev. Here's Tim Hunter with a shot off a leg. It goes to the far side, and the Soviets move it out into the neutral zone. Kvartalnov, the younger of the two Kvartalnov brothers, with one of his infrequent shifts in this hockey game. He flips it ahead to Oksuto, a long shot that was up high on Rick Wamsley. He got a glove on it, knocked it down, and held it for a face-off. We played 5:22 of the...
Are here to make sure that the Soviets know that we think, from the National League side, that this is an important, meaningful, and obviously historic occasion here. Calgary being the first NHL team to play a game in Soviet Russia.
Break wide pass for Roberts. He had trouble picking it up. Loose in center ice. Yashkin on the right side for Klemashov. Knocked away from him by Sabra, and Roberts circles in his own zone. Zalapukin after him. Fired out into the center ice area. Klemashov tries again, looking for Zalapukin on the right side. Vasilev, the Soviet coach, has done some juggling of his lines in this third period, something you don't usually see from a Soviet team.
Well, the lines that he started with may have been good up till this game, but they haven't done a lot, so he's like all coaches when it doesn't work.
Berdashevsky let the shot go. Wamsley got it up high. Berdashevsky came in for the rebound, but Wamsley knocked it away from him. Smirnov has to chase it down in the center ice area as we approach the 7-minute mark of the third period. Selyanin, who played with the Soviet national junior team in Hamilton in '86, gets it to Truckno. Truckno puts on the brakes, moving in. Still has it, doesn't shoot it. Yes, it does let it go, and by that time, Wamsley was able to cover up, but there's a penalty call coming up against the Canadian team. But again, Truckno had all sorts of time, and for those who follow the National Hockey League, or for that matter, almost any level of hockey in Canada, that puck would have been shot.
Well, certainly he has the time. Look at him standing in front here. I don't know what he's waiting for. He's one-on-one on Walmsley, and Walmsley would not go down. And only falls when he's knocked down. The Flames will take a penalty because after watching 15 Trucknose stand there, he was taken out from behind right here. And that checking from behind penalty was called. And sometimes coaches will tell you that if players get too long to think, they'll screw the play up, and Trucknose is no exception as he fouled that one up in grand style.
So Colin Patterson goes to the penalty box. That's 7:08 of this third period, a charging violation. Seljanin is back after it for Khimik. The first of the 4 teams the Flames are facing on their friendship tour of the Soviet Union. Natras had Berdichevsky all lined up as he was waiting for that lead pass at the blue line. I think he caught a glimpse of that red jersey just at the last minute.
Yeah, he'd have been part of the woodwork here in this fine building had he not heard him, smelled him, or saw him at the last second.
Gashin shoots it in. Natras back after it. Natras dumps it down the ice as the Flames continue to do an outstanding job of penalty killing.
Recovering the loose pucks. Anytime the puck leaves the Soviet stick for any length of time and a Flame player battles the Soviet player for it, the red team seems to come up with it.
Kvartalnov with a shot. It's fired wide. Kvartalnov has it again. Cuts out in front, tries to jam it on Walmsley, and he covers up. Korsnikov was standing at the side of the net. 52 seconds remain in the penalty to Colin Patterson. Face-off to the right of goaltender Rick Walmsley.
And here's the Soviet player taking the outside route on the Calgary defenseman, Natras, and getting around him nicely, but unable to cut in because of the great reach of Natras. And Walmsley, knowing that the Russian player was not likely going to be able to cut in, got away out at the top of the crease, and that chance wasn't as good as it looked, as I'm sure the Soviet player saw the net, none of the net.
Kvartalnov, Yakovenko with a shot, a screen shot that is wide of the goal. Kvartalnov. In at the side of the net to Malgin. Malgin couldn't center it. Good work by the newcomer, Johansson, for the Calgary Flames. 24 seconds remaining in the penalty. 4-1, the Flames lead it. Basalkin at the point. Decided not to shoot, flipped it into the corner. Ostrikov was looking for the point and almost had that one intercepted and fired down the ice. Loose puck in front of the Calgary goal, and this time, Nieuwendyk gains possession. He dumps it the length of the ice.
Well, the Calgary penalty killing's been superb, and if you had to point at one thing that gives them the edge they've had tonight, it would probably be that their penalty killing has been excellent, and on the power play, Calgary has cashed in. When those two things happen the same night, you rarely lose.
Loose puck at the side of the net. Mark Hunter races into the corner to pick it up. Hunter back of the goal. Didn't see Gary Suter as Suter had raced in from the point. Now it's picked up by Roberts along the boards. Kvartalnov tried to move out with it. Suter knocked it away from him, flipped it high to the corner. Gary Roberts plays it around the boards to the other side, but Torpochenko gets there first. We're at the midpoint of period 3. Calgary leading 4-1. Now it's Toropchenko going after it again. He's tied up in the corner by Suter. Zalapukin comes in to try and help out. It comes back to the point to Monenkov. Monenkov cuts in front. Flips the shot up high on Walmsley. The puck bounces out and underneath the Soviet player, resulting in a whistle.
Well, Yuri Hrdina did not take the point man, Monenkov, and he walked in off the point after Hrdina just threw a stick at him in an attempt to check and caused all kinds of troubles, and it resulted in this opportunity right here. A nice heads-up play by number 2, Igor Monenkov, and not a very sharp play by Yuri Hrdina to allow him to get that kind of room.
We've played 10 minutes and 21 seconds of the third period. Calgary enjoying a 4-1 lead. Calgary with 3 goals in the first period. They opened the scoring just 31 seconds into the game. Gary Roberts, the marksman. McCrimmon back of his own net. McCrimmon plays it up on the boards, too far for Patterson. It'll go the length of the ice. No icing on the play as Soljanin is back after it. This fine facility will also be the site of the World Figure Skating Championships in January. And we'll have coverage for you on CBC television. Fleury getting that lead pass, driving in. And
it's a difficult thing at any time to come off the bench after you've been sitting 6, 7, 8 minutes or so and feel like you want to. It's really tough at this time of the year when you're not in the kind of shape you'd like to be in to start with.
Well, Thuran Fleury's last visit to the Soviet Union was a successful one. He was a member of the Canadian junior team that won the World Championship. And he'd like to make this trip a successful one with victories by the Calgary Flames. Berdichevsky with a backhand shot. Wamsley dropped the net and then steered it to the side of the net. Yakovenko managed to keep it in. Picked up by Friakin. Friakin plays it around to Gary Suter. Lead pass. Fleury couldn't control it. In the center ice area. Truckno now comes in across the line. Truckno runs into a check, but gets it over to Berdichevsky, and he lets the shot go high and up over the glass.
Well, that's the best save of the night by either goaltender, either of the 3 goaltenders. Wamsley on a real hard slap shot from the 35 or 34 feet out makes a great stop. He didn't catch it, but he got that big glove hand in front of it and it went up over the glass. And that was the premier save of the game. And with about 8.5 minutes to go, that stop of what looked like a sure goal, I think will discourage Stephen to a greater degree, the Soviet team.
Karov knocked down in the Soviet zone, fired the length of the ice, and Wamsley races into the corner to play it away from Kvartalnov. Roberts racing after it. Yashkin got there first. Vostrikov is checked in against the boards. Nieuwendyk now working from the corner. Back to the line. Sabarin with a long shot. Makarov was in front of the net. He had been knocked down by Mona Enka. Sabarin managed to keep it in. Roberts took a swipe at it, but it's brought back out now by the Soviets. 3 of them in across the line. A centering pass is deflected up against the glass. Makarov, rink-wide pass for Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk saw Smirnov coming up quickly and missed the check. Here's Makarov. Makarov slides it across in front of the net for Roberts. Just a little too far for him. He couldn't get his stick on it. We're at the 12:56 mark of the third period. Kvartalnov, drop pass. Soljanin tied up by Makarov. Couldn't get a shot away. They take it in against the boards. Natras comes in to help out. So does Poplinski. Poplinski unable to move it out. Kvartalnov sliding it into the slot area. The Soviet player is tied up. The puck goes loose in the corner. Vostrikov for Kvartalnov. Kvartalnov cross ice to Soljanin. A shot hit his skate. Poplinski can't get out. Vostrikov manages to keep it in. To Kvartalnov. He takes the shot. It goes off a leg to the corner. Sabarin and Vostrikov bumping in the corner. Vostrikov goes down. And with the stoppage in play, the fans begin jeering.
Well, that group of the Flames got caught out there for an awful long shift. And the Soviets wouldn't give up the puck. And they got a little tired. And here's going to be the end of it right here as Sabarin goes into the boards with the Soviet forward and then gives him an extra shot. And there we see 2 young Russian kids enjoying this game, who I'm sure hope someday they'll be playing in one of these games here in Leningrad or elsewhere.
Well, there has been a bit of a drop-off in youth hockey in the Soviet Union, and many critics say it's the result of years of domination by the Red Army team.
Well, they've lost some great players to the National League and ought not to have the edge they've had in other years unless they've gone around and recruited all the good young ones to go to the Red Army. We'll see the Red Army next week. That's the last game the Flames will play, and that will be, I'm sure, the toughest one as far as the Russian part of this tour is concerned.
One of the up-and-coming young stars of that Soviet team who didn't have permission to leave was Alexander McGillney, who was with Buffalo. They were counting on him to be one of the future greats in Soviet international hockey.
Well, I went over on Sunday morning before we left and watched the morning session of the Sabres training camp, and McGillney looks like he's as talented as we thought he was, and reminds me a lot of Makarov, to tell you the truth. He's kind of the same build. He skates the same way. If he could ever turn out to be as successful as Makarov, what an addition he'd be to the Buffalo Sabres.
Nikitin attempting to center it. Goes off the side of the net. Kvartalnov cutting in front of the goal. And it's broken up by the Flames, and Doug Gilmour brings it out. Gilmour looking for Colin Patterson. He couldn't quite reach it. And it slides down into the Soviet zone. And it is Nikitin. Checked as he attempts to get it out.
You know, one of the things, Don, I've noticed about this Soviet team that I think is different from most others we've seen is we've seen some nice individual efforts, but as a team they haven't really played well, and usually it's the other way around.
Zalapukin in across the 9 with Klemashov going for the net, but the puck doesn't get through, and now Theron Fleury gains control in his own zone for the Calgary Flames. Ahead to Hrdina. Hrdina to Ranheim. Ranheim for Hrdina. A quick shot off the side of the net. The Soviets fire down the ice. Zalapukin lets the shot go wide of the net, and this results in an offside call against.
Well, we all leave Leningrad tomorrow to head to Kiev. The Flames practice in the morning and then leave for a game on Saturday, which will be live Saturday afternoon in Canada. Leningrad, a lovely city, old, a lot of canals, a nice river. And you know, there are no private homes in this city, all apartments. And I guess that's a feature of most Soviet cities. And this is one of over 4 million people, so it's not a little village by any means. Don and I went shopping yesterday. For some reason, I don't think those clothes we saw looked good on us. You?
I think that one suit would look pretty good on you, Harry.
I didn't want to get in the lineup for it. I thought there was a good movie there at that place. But the people here line up for clothing, for food, for utensils. Long lines we see in front of all the stores.
There'd be a lot less shopping done if I was responsible for doing it.
And one of the popular stops in town the last 2 days was 60 degrees and sunny today, were the fruit stands.
With Dana Merzen in the penalty box. Another power play opportunity. Zalapukin at the side of the net. Time they convert that passing play, and it was Yashkin sneaking in from the point who put it up over top of Rick Wampler.
Colin Patterson forgot for a half a second to take a look over his shoulder when the puck was on the far side of the rink to see where that point man went. And when he found him, he was behind him. And the Soviet team have tried to set this play up all night. And finally, they get a chance, and you can see right there, the point man came off the point to give them the third man in front of the net. And Colin Patterson, who's an excellent penalty killer, forgot for a second. And when he looked up, it was too late on a well-planned goal by the Khimik team with just over 4 minutes left in this hockey game.
Zalapukin drawing the assist on the goal by Yashkin, his second goal of the game. Here comes Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk moves in. Bluff save by the goaltender, Chervyakov. Roberts gets it now. He lets it go. And that is high off the glass. Savarin from the point manages to keep it in. Makarov gains control, rink wide, and fired wide by Joe Nieuwendyk. Now it's Roberts in the corner, circling for Calgary. Roberts, tied up against the end boards, manages to get free, looking to center it, and then got it back and jammed it just past the far post, fired down the ice by the Soviets. We have 3.5 minutes remaining in this third period. An icing call against Himik. Well, the play of the Calgary Flames seemed to be just a little more spirited following that second Soviet goal. They appeared to pick up the pace a little as both Roberts and Nieuwendyk had scoring opportunities.
And Calgary hasn't had a lot of scoring opportunities in the last half of this game. They've spent a lot of time killing penalties, and you get into a defensive frame of mind when you kill all those penalties, and then when you get into even strength situation, the whole team's been thinking prevent goals, not get them, that you can be lulled into a state where you just don't manufacture many chances. And that goal by the Khimik team reawakened the Calgary offense.
There's an opportunity for Christian going in alone. He put the move on Watson and then fired it wide. One move too many by Truckno as he went in alone on goaltender Rick Wamsley. And it's an offside call as the Flames flip it in across the Khimik blue line. We're at 17:10 of the third period.
Well, Truckno went in, he faked the backhand and then thought he could beat Wamsley across the front of the net. Now watch the fake. Here's the backhand fake right here. Right here. Then he pulls it across, figuring he can hold Wamsley for a second and then beat him across the net. But Wamsley, the cagey old veteran, has seen that move before, and he beat Truckno across the net to stop a goal that would have made it a 4-3 game with 3 minutes left.
Yakovenko in his own zone. Lead pass up to the blue line, broken up by Joel Otto. They try again. Basalga for Yakovenko. Yakovenko to Kvartalnov. He couldn't do anything with it. Malgin has it. Back into his own zone to Basalgin. Over to Yakovenko. To Basalgin. Basalgin on the right side to Malgin. Malgin into the slot area. And the attempted centering pass by Mostrikov broken up. McCrimmon comes in across the line looking for Poplinski. He was tied up by Yakovenko, and the puck goes loose along the board. 2 minutes remaining in the third period. Kvartalnov trying to split the defense. Knocked off the puck by Al McInnes and Gary Suter. Gary Suter has it behind his own goal. Suter over on the right side for McInnes. Rink wide for Nieuwendyk, who was flying out of his own zone. He dropped it off for Roberts to Makarov, and Makarov couldn't quite control it as he went cutting for the net. And the goaltender, Chervyakov, managed to grab it. But a nice passing play by the Flames.
And the puck was rolling. And Makarov, by the time he slapped it and settled it down and got it flat on the ice, he was out of scoring position. Had that been a flat pass, we would have had a chance to see Makarov, the newest of Flames, put on one of his moves and score a goal. But no, sir, it didn't happen that time.
1:30 remaining in the hockey game. The Soviet player upset at the blue line by McInnes. Makarov manages to get it free, but it was out of the reach of Gary Roberts, and back comes Zalapukin. Zalapukin faking the shot, attempting to split the defense unsuccessfully, and it's flipped down the ice by the Flames. Yashkin, who has scored both goals for the Soviets, unable to get it out. Roberts, centering pass. He was looking for Makarov, and the Soviet goaltender knocked it down. Back they come, pretty strong. To Zalapukin, broken up nicely with a poke check by Savarin. Now back to the line to Monankov. He couldn't keep it in. 40 seconds remaining in the third. Calgary leading by a score of 4-2. Now going back after it is Zalapukin. Zalapukin, rink wide with the pass for Smirnov. Smirnov to Zalapukin. Zalapukin still controlling it, takes the shot, drops it for Smirnov, and it's knocked out into the neutral zone by Colin Patterson. Johansson, following up on the play, fires it down the ice, and that will be the last opportunity for the Soviets.